Hi, this is Dr. Ken Richter with your Curbside Consult. Today we're going to talk about COVID vaccinations. This topic has really been in the news and present in our daily conversations. In any medical decision, you need to weigh out the pros and the cons, and you have to work to minimize risk. Now, realistically, there is no good external treatment for COVID. Our internal immune system is the best treatment, and anything we can do to amp up our immunity will be effective at killing COVID. Not getting infected at all is also an option, and that is why there has been so many moves to isolate, quarantine, and to vaccinate. Trust me, there are no black and white answers to this whole thing, and so we're constantly debating the shades of gray. Let's just review some facts about the vaccine without any emotion or politics or social media experts. The very basic bottom line of all this debate and controversy is trust, or more accurately, the lack of trust. Our society does not trust our government to do the right thing and to make decisions that are best for others or our communities. This mistrust has been earned. The talk of conspiracy and misleading information and personal greed have clouded all of the information regarding COVID. Let's try to cut through the static and talk about common sense approaches and facts about the vaccination. Now, so far, 185 million people in the United States have been fully vaccinated. That's 56% of our population. Worldwide, 2.6 billion have been vaccinated, which is just 34%. So what are the benefits? Well, the vaccine can prevent you from getting COVID-19, or at least can lessen your symptoms if you get the virus. It will increase your chance of survival. Even in the healthiest individuals, there will be benefits. It will prevent the spread to others by decreasing exposure, and it will decrease the spread in general because there will be less people infected, and speed up the control and reduce restrictions caused by elevated numbers of COVID in our communities. What if I get COVID? Do I need the vaccination? Yes, it is recommended. Because it is difficult to know how immune you are or how long that immunity will last from a natural response, there's a more measured response when you get the vaccination. There is still much information to be learned with time, but for now it seems that the best long-term immunity is with vaccination. Can a COVID vaccination give me COVID? Absolutely not, because these are not live viruses. Now, don't be fooled. It takes a few weeks before your body has developed the antibodies after you finish the vaccination, so you can still catch COVID. People will sometimes believe that the vaccine causes the infection rather than catching COVID at a vulnerable time after the vaccination. When you get vaccinated, you're considered fully immune 2 weeks after the second dose of the Pfizer or the Moderna, and 2 weeks after the single dose of Johnson & Johnson. Up until that point, you are still vulnerable to catch COVID. Are there side effects from the vaccine? Yes. As with any medical treatment or vaccination, there can be side effects. This can happen with the first or the second or now the booster vaccine. Pain, fever, fatigue, headache, muscle pain, chills, joint pain, nausea and vomiting, and feeling generally unwell are some of the most common complaints. There is no way of knowing how you will respond, and most people have no or only minor complaints for a short period of time. Are there long-term side effects from the vaccination? This is a tough question to answer because clinical trials only started in the summer of 2020 and there's no long-term data. But going off of decades of vaccination information, there appears to be a low likelihood of any long-term side effects. Now, what about the Delta variant? Well, COVID is a virus, and viruses can change and mutate. If, how, when, and in what manner COVID can mutate is yet to be seen. But one mutation is noted that has significance, and this is called the Delta variant. The Delta variant is 2 times more contagious than the original COVID and has been responsible for most of the recent outbreaks of COVID. The vaccination presently does appear to provide protection against severe consequences of Delta, but does not consistently provide protection from getting the variant. So, the vaccinated may get Delta, but the symptoms and consequences will be much less severe. So what about kids? Well, Pfizer has now developed a vaccination for kids 12 to 15. The research is showing that the vaccination is 100% effective in preventing COVID and 95% effective in kids 16 and older. There has been a debate about the necessity of a COVID vaccination in kids, since they are overwhelmingly going to get over an infection. So why give it at all when kids recovered at such a great rate? Well, there is concern that kids can spread the virus to the vulnerable, to teachers, and to others in the community. Now, with the vaccination taking politics and social media out of this, once you are vaccinated, you can stop wearing a mask and social distancing in most any setting. But here's where it gets sticky. There may be laws and rules that alter the principle and require a mask and distancing. We are all well aware of the inconsistencies of these policies from our political leaders. Here are a few exceptions to consider. If there's a rise in COVID cases in your area, then wear a mask in crowded areas or when you would be in close contact to unvaccinated people. Airplanes, buses, trains may still require masks. Traveling out of the United States is not a big deal. Leaving, but your destination country may have a different set of rules. Coming back to the United States, you will need to show a negative COVID test, preferably with a PCR test within 72 hours of travel, or you will need to show proof that you have recovered from COVID-19 in the past 3 months. We have lived with vaccinations our entire lives, and many diseases like smallpox and polio have been eliminated from our schools and communities through immunizations. We have continued generations of families that routinely take their kids to the well child visits, and shots are expected and given with little controversy. It has become a way of life and good health in our communities. COVID has taken on a very divisive response. COVID has not done this, but the response to COVID has created emotionally charged debates that have affected our businesses, our schools, relationships, cost of living, employment, and elections. Some have lost their jobs and livelihood, and others have created a new, more profitable future. Whenever there can be power or wealth gained by propaganda and media, then the justification for these mandates need to be questioned, but not ignored or discarded. We will never know the full impact of COVID because the numbers and the interpretation of these numbers have been forever flawed. So we have to deal with what we do know is sound science, and rely on those you trust. Medical ethics in our society gives us the right to be autonomous, which means we can do what we want regarding our health as long as that decision does not risk the health to others. I can choose to smoke a cigarette knowing full well that this may lead to cancer and very sick lungs, but I can't smoke in an airplane because I can do harm to others with my smoking. I can drink alcohol in my home to the point of intoxication or cirrhosis, but I cannot drive intoxicated because I am a threat to others. I can catch COVID by not getting the vaccination. But when do the rules apply to minimize that risk to others by unknowingly spreading the virus? How to develop a plan that respects all individual decisions and protects the community is a difficult task and is an ongoing process as we continue to learn about COVID. I will try to keep you up to date and informed as more information is available. Please temper your emotions with good information. Making a decision on emotion can be dangerous. Believing that you will not catch COVID will not create immunity. Belief will not magically prevent COVID from infecting your body. Believing that COVID will not have the potential to kill you could end with you hospitalized struggling for air on a ventilator. We get in our cars every day believing we will not be in an accident, but we still snap on our seatbelts. Just believing that COVID will not affect your life should not be the reason that you don't take precaution. In the meantime, try to acquire unbiased information that is sound and based on fact rather than emotion, greed, or political influence. I hope this helps a lot. It's a controversial topic and will be more complicated as we go along. This is Dr. Ken Richter with your Curbside Consult. Thank you.